Hello. Last time we were in touch with you, we were on our journey from Malaysia to Cambodia driving our small car, Alan, and we've been here now for about 2 months. We'd have to say it's been a very challenging 2 months. We've seen a lot of corruption, right from the top to the bottom. We've seen poor people being oppressed, people's homes being damaged by storms. We've had doubts as to whether we'll be able to continue our relationship with the kids that we've already been seeing at the orphanage.
When it mentions the corruption, it's things like, you have this thing here called Apsara land, and what that means is you can have a family that's living in less than a rusty metal shack. It may not even have metal, it can be falling apart, it can be made up of plastic and whatever rubbish they can find. And obviously we wanted to help these people rebuild their homes when we saw them, and we wanted to get to know what we can do to help. And then you find out, because it's on Apsara land, you've got this thing where you can't actually rebuild. The government have this crazy idea that they put across in this way that's meant to sound really nice, that they're preserving natural Cambodia. So I'll just put it into context. You've got this road coming from the airport full of these massive expensive hotels, and this is all on Apsara land. Yet you're not allowed to build on Apsara land because it's not keeping Cambodia as it should be. And then around the back of these hotels is where you've got the people just living in swamp water and their houses falling apart. And knowing that we can't help these people has been really difficult and really emotional. And realising that there's corruption in everything. I mean, some of the orphanages here are corrupt. We've put together some background reading that you can look into from the email. I won't go into it massively now, but it's stuff we've been aware of for a while, and we decided to start sharing with you in a lot more detail so you can understand where we're coming from and what we're doing. But the corruption is everything from the top to the bottom, and it's been really difficult to understand how we can help in amongst all this. And I guess we're learning to work in amongst the corruption.
Yeah, which is an important lesson here.
Yeah. It's really easy to have these ideals of cleaning everything up, but you realise you're in a corrupt country where the kids have to pay to pass their exams. So many examples, I don't even know where to start. So many little things that build up for a really corrupt society. And we want to keep teaching the children and families integrity and honesty and about being good people. And I think we can only do that by being an example ourselves and showing love to them and being with them and building with them. We've realised we can't give up, and we're not going to give up, but it's been a really, really hard month, 2 months. It is getting better. We've got some really good stuff coming up. Do you want to say what we're up to?
Yeah. One of the things that we're going to be doing is developing a stronger relationship with some villages in an area about 20 kilometres outside Siem Reap called the Pork District. Pork. The Pork District.
He's calling it pork.
It makes
me sound like food.
Yeah, it makes me hope there'll be food there. But there's a particular family that we've met in this village. The dad's called Chen and the mum's called Brau, and they have 5 kids living in this tiny little house that's fallen apart in the storms, and we're hoping to go and start rebuilding their home this week.
This particular home isn't on Apsara land. It's really hard not being able to help people on Apsara land, really frustrating, and that's something that there are NGOs trying to tackle it from further up. But in the meantime there's nothing we can do, so we've gone much further out into the sticks, and that's where we start to find these families that we actually can help them rebuild their homes. And it's horrible feeling like we're not helping the others, but then there's others that we can help, and it's you can probably see what it can feel like sometimes. But this family are just wonderful. And every time we visited, it's been great to see them as the people, but each time the house got worse and worse. We'll get some photos going, we'll show you the development. We're going to be working with them over the next week. What's the date today?
20th?
Yeah, it's 20th of November. We've already got to know this family, and we're doing all the prep for the building at the moment, and actually starting tomorrow, which is exciting. Do you want to say about last night?
Yeah, last night was the first night that we went round, and specifically was a task of giving food to the street kids. Now sometimes we see these these kids and see them begging, and that's just their culture. They're sent out by their parents or by whatever adult sent them out to go and beg and get money from tourists. And occasionally we'll buy them food looking for stuff that can't be resold. But we decided that we'd actually intentionally buy food for them and go and do this. So we got 10 rice with porks, apples, milk, soya milk, and basically went around the streets looking for street kids who were hassling tourists, and gave them a decent meal.
Yeah. It's one of those things where some of you that have been here will know that there's a lot of scams, and the children are taught to beg in a certain way or trick you by saying, "Oh, I don't want money, buy me milk," and then they want a big can of milk, the powdered stuff, and then the minute you're gone they go and sell it back, and they're quite expensive and they get cash back like that. And they're just being taught like all this dishonesty, and some of them are there, like Pete said, with parents. Some have no sign of having any kind of adult care around, and others it's trafficking, where there's no parental care, but somebody's putting them on the streets to do that and training them.
The shocking thing about that milk scam is the shop that sells the milk, usually they'll see the kid there and the tourist there, knows that the scam is going on, and they're actually part of the scam.
Yeah, so it's just one of these things where everywhere you go there's just dishonesty, and it's pretty horrible. But the worst thing is, if you buy these kids anything that can be resold, they're being watched, and then they know they can't do anything with it. So when we went round, even just little things like we bought them little milks for themselves, just making sure we open it so they have to drink it there and then, and making sure they actually start their meal so it can't be sold on, or they can't have it taken off them by whoever's put them out there. And it's only one small step, but we found that we were doing it anyway, just when we were out in the evening, so we just thought we're just going to start doing it more regularly as a bit of a mini project, to do it really proactively. And it's been really interesting. It's given us time to actually set aside time to really spend with some of these people on the streets. And I mean, Look Cambodia, a huge thing about Look Cambodia is helping vulnerable children, and you don't get much more vulnerable than begging on a street corner next to one of the seediest bars you've ever seen, and just so vulnerable to the wrong kind of people being around, not even getting fed properly unless they're barefoot, and it's just horrible. But they're lovely, and they're worth spending time with, so I'm going to spend more time with them.
We've also got a 10k race coming up in a few weeks. So
yeah.
Exciting.
So I'm really whingy. I got so ill in the first month here, and I don't do ill very well. Get frustrated if I can't get stuff done. But it also meant I couldn't train, haven't been able to train properly for the race, but I'm doing my best at the moment. I'm getting, well-wise, I'm getting better. I'm hoping to do the 10k race as well. So I've struggled with a couple of Ks, so 10's going to be epic for me. I think Pete's just going to be okay there.
Just going to sprint around and do it in 35 minutes.
Probably take 2 hours. But it's just another thing to just get it done as a sponsored thing. The details are on the email I sent you. And it's quite good fun. It's part of it's a big Angkor Wat race. It's a big community event, and it's just another chance to get to know people in the community and get together for something like that. So so we're talking about the children in the villages, the children in the streets, and of course our first love, the children in the orphanage. Those of you that have been following may know by now, the first 24 children we looked after, 21 of them have now been rehomed, or in some cases where they weren't totally orphaned, they've gone back to their homes. There's a mix-up of that. So we have 3 children still, I feel like saying our children, it really feels like they are. And they're in another orphanage at the moment, which is, they're receiving very good care at that orphanage. As good as we could hope for somewhere like Cambodia. It's a lot better than so many other options. To give you an idea of what kind of things happen when the kids get rehomed, one of the orphans, Giet, which you might recognise from our photos, he's always got the biggest smile. That probably doesn't narrow it down actually. But he has a really big smile, and it was his auntie that's decided to start looking after him, and it's so much better for him to be back in his home village and be in a place where he can experience home life. The 3 children that we still have, like you say, are living in an orphanage, which in a lot of ways is much better. The care is much better, and that's all. That's probably one of the main things. We've probably been reluctant to go into too many details, but the care at the other place was just far from suitable. So they're no longer there, and the original orphanage you've seen us build is now being changed into an English school and can be used for all kinds of different classes as well, out towards the floating village. So we're not going to have the children staying there anymore. And I don't know what else to say now. I don't know what else to tell you. So much goes on. I don't actually know what to say. But the children are well, and they're being looked after, they're being fed well, and they're going to school regularly.
That's our latest thing.
Yeah, I think that's our latest. I made some notes and kind of looking at them. Oh yeah, just a reminder, the background reading might be interesting for those of you that are considering volunteering or genuinely are just interested in culture in Cambodia and the differences and how nothing's as it seems. So if you click on the blog, the written blog link, there's some what I think is interesting background reading, but we'll see what you think. Thank you for your ongoing support. We really, really mean that. We couldn't be here doing this if you weren't supporting us. We really do appreciate it so much. And thank you. Keep you updated.
Bye.
Bye-bye.